Hi, I'm Jane Yu. Welcome back to my channel. I'm a wedding and event planner based in Los Angeles, the co-founder of UNS Events, and I'm just figuring out life and business one day at a time. In my last video, I gave you an overview of what a full service planner usually provides, gave you a sense of what you would get if you booked my full planning and design package, and today I wanted to explore and explain the differences between a planner and a coordinator. Some terms that you might hear being thrown around in terms of packages will be month of coordination, month of planning, day of coordination. These are all kind of similar in terms of the scope. But personally, I don't really have a day of coordination package because I would never just show up on the day without any prior contact with the client or information beforehand and be expected to run the day properly. So I call it month of coordination, and the industry has really kind of moved in that direction in terms of the terminology. If a wedding is very simple, then day of coordination could potentially work, but it really depends on how organized the client is and things like that. But personally, I don't normally offer day of coordination. So I'm making this video because sometimes people can't decide if they want a planner or just a coordinator. And it's not always a financial thing. Of course, full planners cost more than a coordinator does, but I think some people don't really understand what the differences are. So that's the reason that I'm making this video. So let's just start with the definition of what planning is, or to plan. So I literally looked it up on Google, on dictionary.com. The to plan means to decide on and arrange in advance, right? And so in advance, the planner is making all these arrangements to execute the wedding or event. Okay. Now, coordinate is a little bit different. It says to bring the elements of a complex activity into a relationship that will ensure efficiency or harmony. So that's what to coordinate means. And that's a little bit different than plan, right? Because planning is actually making these arrangements, whereas coordinating is just bringing together these elements. So I would say there's three probably main differences between a planner and a coordinator. The first one I would say is the duration of time you're working with them. For a planner, you're really working with them from the beginning of planning your wedding, ideally, even before you book a venue or do the budget or anything. You would probably be working with them anywhere from 8 to 12 plus months to plan your actual wedding. For a coordinator, a lot of times they'll start a month out, 2 months out, 3 months out, just depending on their process and their schedule. For me, I like to do at least 2 to 3 months with that initial call, because it just gives us a little more time to get acclimated to all the different things that have to get done. And I don't like rushing in the last 4 weeks because it's already a little bit chaotic for the client and the couple. So I start 3 months out, and it again depends on how my schedule is looking for the rest of the year or like the next few months. So the second thing that is a big difference is workflow and vendor communication and management. So in terms of workflow, again, because you're not starting so far ahead, for full planning, I have an array of programs that I use, or applications rather, like Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, etc. And I set all of these up for the client. We're collaborative with it. We communicate through it, all of that. And decisions are made in that kind of manner. Whereas for coordinating, when I step in, I do have things that I provide the client, but they might have been using their own system up to that point. And so there's some like transferring of information that I have to download in my brain, and also like on the documents. So that's a big difference. And actually, now that I'm talking about it, I'm thinking of even just providing my clients with the templates and my documents and systems beforehand so that they're able to use that when planning. Additionally, in terms of the vendor management piece, I wouldn't do any vendor research or book vendors for the clients or do any contracting or negotiating. That would pretty much all be set, or most of the vendors would be booked by the time I step in. Of course, if there's any loose ends to tie up. I can make recommendations and give referrals, but typically all of that is pretty much booked before I step in. I would reach out to them just to see what's been discussed, to coordinate the schedule and everything, but a lot of the details would probably have already been figured out. The third thing that is a big difference is when it comes to the creative vision. So if you remember in my last video, I was talking about how the design portion of full planning and design is really helping the client realize their creative vision to life. It's a lot of like taking a hodgepodge of ideas and helping the client narrow it down and putting it all on paper and figuring it out with the vendors. A coordinator wouldn't do that at all. They can make recommendations of certain things if certain things have not been decided by the time they start working. But that's really all up to the client to decide, for the client to figure out. And the creative is really on the couple to make sure that they get what they need. The coordinator will, of course, take that vision and make sure the floral designer, the rentals, that those are all correct, because, it's a matter of just double checking work that the client has already done. But in terms of the actual creative, that's all driven by the client. The coordinator would just be there to help execute. So just to break it down or to simplify it, I think a planner is really for people or clients who really just want someone from the beginning to the end. They need that support. They don't have time. They really want someone to kind of walk them through the details. They don't want to waste time trying to sift through all this information or guess at different things. They want to lean on someone with expertise. A coordinator is really for clients who want to plan most of their wedding. They're pretty confident about staying organized and staying on top of things, but they know that they're going to need someone the last 2 to 3 months just to really bring it home. And so they can kind of let go of that stress as they walk into the big day. So some questions to ask yourself if you're not sure which one you want to go with. Let's say financials are just not a concern. You're not sure if you want a planner or a coordinator. You definitely want one of them. I think the first question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to be really committed and hands-on with planning your own wedding? Are you committed to spending the time with your partner probably to do this in chunks and not be getting so overwhelmed and find the task super daunting? I think that's the first question you need to ask, is you have to be in that mindset. It's going to take a lot of time. So do you want to do that? Is that something you want to take on? If the answer is no, or even a little bit on the fence, then I would definitely look into a full planner. There's a lot of different types of packages out there, so I'm sure you would be able to find something in your price range. The second question is, do you have time to actually plan your own wedding? As a reminder, in my last video, I was saying it takes about 200 to 300 hours, I would say, total, between like all the research, the phone calls, the emails back and forth, talking to your partner to make decisions, talking to your family to make decisions. There's just a lot of things that go into a wedding, and that all takes time. And so do you have the time to actually plan the wedding? And the third thing, which I already touched upon, is, do you get really easily overwhelmed and stressed out? If that's the case, then having someone by your side to really kind of walk you through things, to talk you down when you're really getting emotionally involved, it might be super helpful. Now, this might not have to be a planner, right? It could be maybe your partner is super level-headed and they can talk you through anything. Maybe it's your mom, or maybe it's your bridesmaids. But having that person or having somebody there for you to just walk you through the stress, or just to relieve you from the stress, is going to be really, really helpful. I hope this video gave you a pretty good idea of the differences between a planner and a coordinator, and takes you one step closer to figuring out which one you might want to hire. I always recommend having at least a coordinator if you're not going to hire a full service planner, which is completely fine. But I would definitely recommend having at least a coordinator to just handle the day, because you really just don't want to be worrying about anything or asking your friends and family, because it's just an added layer of stress. So you definitely want, and I think it's worth it, to have a professional to handle just managing all those little things that come up, especially with vendors, even weather and things like that. That's just something that you don't really want to worry about. Also, there's a lot of resources out there that can help you plan. Google is obviously full of information. I'm actually also working on a digital wedding planner, which is a very straightforward, no frills, built in Google Docs and Google Drive to help people who might want to plan their own wedding but not sure how to stay organized or not sure where to start. I am working on that product as well, which I want to launch in the next month or so. So be on the lookout for that. But good news is there's a lot of different products out there that you could find through other planners or influencers who've gotten married, who've created their own products. You can definitely find something that's a right fit for you if you really want to plan your own wedding. My goal as a planner, regardless of what kind of package a client books, is to always make sure the client feels supported by the time that I start working with them. I just want to reiterate, whenever you're looking for vendors or planners or coordinators or whoever, that's the main thing you should ask yourself is, do I feel supported? Will this person add to my stress or will they help my stress? I think that's a big question to ask in general. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate that you spent the time to watch this. I hope to be able to bring you more informational content to help you make decisions as you plan your big wedding, your big day, and that it's just an enjoyable process for you from beginning to the end. If you liked watching this video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe for more content. I'm really excited about using my new setup. I'm not sure if it's gonna stay like this, but I wanted to try using a microphone to just give you a little bit more better audio quality. And we're fussing around with it for a little bit, but luckily my husband has a Twitch setup that he has used in the past and knows how to use like the different computer applications, so I didn't have to spend a ton of time doing my own research. But I'm hoping this audio quality brings you, it's a better viewing experience for you. I'm excited to see how each of my videos evolve as I keep making them. I did a couple of test videos and I'm hoping I look okay. Also using a GoPro camera today instead of my phone, so there's been a couple of upgrades in this video. Hopefully you can tell that I try to make a better quality video today. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed watching the content and we'll see you next time.